Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show. Well, you know, I love entrepreneurs. I love companies that are really shaking up their industries. So joining us to talk about what is happening in the world of development is Shaun Overton and Devery Johnson from ROI Developers. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
All right, now we met at a networking group last week, and I was fascinated by your 30-second elevator speech because as a marketer, I'm always asking people, what do you do? So we'll start with you, Shaun. When you meet somebody for the first time and they say, "What do you do?" How do you put it?
I believe that all businesses operate a fraction of their maximum peak efficiency, and what we do is we look for small wins and opportunities to improve business process, and we just happen to do that with custom software.
Well done. You didn't use a single thing that I didn't understand. Devery, how about you? When you are introduced for the first time at a networking group, what's your 30 seconds?
I like to be able to tell people that we are solving simple problems like through app development for specific companies. And some examples we'll give you here in a few minutes are focused around how do we make process improvements iterative but impactful for people through software.
Yes. Well, you were telling me a great story on Friday about a company that you've helped recently. Tell us that story.
Yeah, so it's Silver Creek Materials in Fort Worth, and they are a sand mine, which I think everybody understands. You dig dirt out of the ground and you put it in trucks. Now, their problem is that they work with a lot of construction companies that need very timely, efficient delivery of those loads. And when they're operating at peak efficiency, they can have half a mile of trucks on their 600-acre property. So what they need is to get away from using radios. They have 8 people operating front loaders. It looks like a Tonka truck. They're trying to get off the radios and put everything on a mobile app, which we've built for them. So when a customer comes to the ticket house and they say, "I need a truckload of sand," well, that order pops up to the guy in the front loader. He doesn't need to know what's happening on the radio. He sees a picture of the truck, he sees the order, he sees the driver, and he knows that it's paid for. So he just loads it and he does his job, marks it as filled, and they drive off the site.
Wow. Devery, are you seeing a lot of business development in those industries that are kind of old-fashioned industries? And
we do. I mean, we see development obviously in oil and gas. Even though there's a retraction in the market now, we see the strength of that coming back in metal fabricators and then in aggregates for sand, concrete, and those other areas as well. One of the things that was developed was a training program for a company that did perforating guns in the oil and gas industry, so that it kind of went down the checklist of when somebody's sending a $500,000 mistake down mile deep to clear a line, have they checked all the boxes so that we don't have another Deepwater Horizon scenario, and it gives us an opportunity to give that company the ability to have that checklist all on a mobile app.
Yes. We're going to put your website up because you guys did a beautiful job with your website telling your story. Very clean, very sleek. Tell me the story how this all got started, Shaun. You're the founder.
Yeah, we've gone through a couple of iterations. So when this started, it was actually an algorithmic currency trading. And as the business grew, we got more focused on a B2B environment. And we started working with a Forex company that needed custom software to manage their customer accounts. And then my father-in-law introduced me to Avexius Medical Centers. They're a network of hormone replacement therapy centers, so like testosterone replacement. They needed essentially a custom business process built from scratch. If you're going to launch a custom therapy business, there's not something off the shelf where you're going to find that. And so they contracted us to build out that system exactly as they needed it. And from there, it just grew. We had the experience and the expertise to jump into pretty much any vertical and make a difference.
That's great. Well, it doesn't really make sense for a typical company to hire their own developer and do it in-house, does it?
No, because most businesses are good at one thing. If you think about Silver Creek, they're good at sand mining. If you think about OSA Perforating, they're good at manufacturing perforating guns. They're not development companies. And so when you step outside of your typical vertical and you're trying to learn what's agile development, what's Django, what's a database, what's the cloud, why do I care? Right? Like, it's a lot easier to bring somebody in that knows what they're doing and can wrap their mind around your business, even if they're not experts in that vertical, so that you follow best development practices so that you don't box yourself into bad decisions and then 5 years later realize, no, we got to throw out all that work and do something else. You want somebody that that's been there and made those mistakes before, and they know what kind of mistakes you're likely to make so that you don't go down that road.
Yeah. Something tells me you guys like a challenge. Have you been stumped when somebody comes to you and this is the problem I need solved? Are you usually able to come to the rescue?
Yeah, usually. I mean, occasionally in order for us to do our job, a business usually has software systems in place, and so they have to have what's called an API, and what that means doesn't matter. It just means that there's something that we can connect to, and as long as that is in place, then we can help any business because we have the keys to the kingdom, basically. We can get in your database, we can get in your business and send that data elsewhere.
Yes. Well, I know you guys are both big networkers. That's how we met. Devery, did the pandemic hurt your ability to go out and
initially it did when we started looking at people not being able to shake hands or bump elbows now, as it were. But now, given the fact that we're listening to things up and we're going out and we're meeting people and explaining what it is that we do, it helps also to give them the focus of smaller businesses that we work with are pre-main ERP system businesses. I spent 14 years with Nokia in their developer operations and lived internationally in Helsinki for 3 years. Microsoft purchased that, and I work for Microsoft, so I know the big systems. But we're helping companies that are pre those large systems and those investments by creating smaller systems and through APIs and through web development for them, so that they can think like a big company and have the tools like a big company without the expense of having to go purchase a huge ERP system.
Exactly.
That's really cool. Well, we're almost out of time, so Shaun, you get the final word. What thought would you like to leave the audience with?
I would challenge you as a business owner to think about what opportunities you have in your business. And so as I was telling Devery this story that I was listening to about the British cycling team, how they were the perpetual losers they were the Chicago Cubs of cycling.
Yes.
And the way they were able to transform themselves from a losing team into international championships was to look for 1% improvements all across everything: nutrition, exercise, cleanliness of facilities. And as a business owner, you can make that same kind of decision. You can look for, where are people doing data entry? Where are people losing 5 minutes? Where are people losing concentration? And as you really take an inventory of what your people are doing day after day, and you think about how much those 5 minutes cost every person all year long, it's a lot of money. And so when you think about ways that you can improve, you might not know the solution, but if you're aware of the problem, you're in a position to do something about it.
Outstanding. What a great segment. You guys are going to have to come back.
All right. We'd love to.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to put the website up, ROI, help me with that.
ROIDEVS.com.
Perfect. Listen, you guys are great. Thanks again.
Thank you for having us.
You bet. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.